do anything about what happened yesterday or what's going to happen tomorrow. It's all about the same thing, about now. How are things now? You look okay, I look okay, you folks are all right. Why bitch about anything? You're not hungry, you're not cold, you're not wet, neither am I. You know, we got plenty of food and sick, so right now everything is fine. And if you continue to live in the now, then things will be okay after a while. Follow our gut and do what we feel like right at the time when everybody else might think it's dumb. I don't do what I don't want to do. But if I want to do it, get out of the goddamn way because I'm going to do it. And I suggest everyone have an attitude similar to that. You got to want it. And then when you get it, you got to still want it. You smoke every day? I don't think I missed a day in years. Really. So it's a habit. Well, I think it's a good habit for me. You know, I don't recommend it for anybody, you know. But for me, it seems to help me. Yeah, I felt better. I felt more relaxed. And I think, you know, stress is the biggest killer we've got. So if you can relax, then you'll be healthy. Worry will make me sick. I've never seen it accomplish anything. I've never seen worrying about anything change it. So I decided not to do it. If you can't do anything about it, why the hell worry about it? Every negative thought you have releases poison into your system. So if you're thinking negative about anything, erase that.
really feeling sad and sorry for myself. I was sitting on a bench looking across this great expanse of green grass and the swan swimming in the pool. This great tree. I don't know what kind of tree it was, but it was just overpowering with its. And I was looking at it, feeling, I'm nothing compared to that. And sitting on a bench, about 10 feet away from me, an old German fellow with a stiff collar and a black tie and a black suit sitting there. He looked over at me and he saw the kind of state I was in, and he asked me, he says, what, do you ever talk to trees? And I said, talk to trees? No, I never talk. Did you talk to trees? What do they say? And he says, oh, I never asked them questions. Self-evolution, to evolve yourself to your highest possible potential. And in the philosophies of the East, there are a lot of tools that you can use. Meditation tools and also practical tools, practical things that you can do. And it's not all from the East, it's from all kinds of philosophies. It's an amalgamation of philosophies. It all goes to the same place, but it has to do with the evolution of the individual. We've forgotten about that, I think, and now it's the opposite of socialism. It's where man takes care of himself, and by taking care of himself, he takes care of the world. And that's it, basically, my philosophy, and I try to practice that.
Yeah, I take a very cynical point of view. I think that being cynical is a positive value. I think that nobody should trust anybody else. I think that all people are assholes until proven different. And I think that if you take that point of view, you will be disappointed less in life. Don't expect friends. Don't expect fun. Don't expect a good life. Don't expect anything. And then if you get something, it's a bonus. do is based on reporting. I see something and I report on what I see based on my point of view. My point of view is not a normal point of view, and I tell people about what I see about it. They can agree with it, or they can say it's bullshit, whatever. I don't care.
Psychedelics, one frequently gains a much heightened appreciation of the worth of nature and the beauty and value of her creatures. Even one such experience can make a person more conscious and concerned with the ecology of our planet. So I say, psychedelics should once more be taken seriously as intellectual and aesthetic instruments that can help us understand not only what consciousness is, but what we humans really are and what we can become in our relation to the wonder that is nature. My visible impressions were dazzling and apparently magnified. I heard distinctly every sound in the room. I lost all connection with external things. I existed in a world of newly connected, newly modified ideas. With the most intense belief and prophetic manner, I exclaimed, "Nothing exists but thoughts. universe is composed of impressions, ideas, pleasures, and pains.
Life is not easy. It is not. Don't try to make it that way. Life's not fair. It never was. It isn't now, and it won't ever be. Do not fall into the trap, the entitlement trap, of feeling like you're a victim. You are not. Get over it and get on with it. First step that leads to our identity in life is usually not, I know who I am, I know who I am. That's not the first step. The first step's usually, I know who I am not. Process of elimination. Defining ourselves by what we are not is the first step that leads us to really knowing who we are. Knowing who we are is hard. It's hard. Give yourself a break. Eliminate who you are not first, and you're going to find yourself where you need to be. want it. Do it because you want to. We're gonna make mistakes. You gotta own them. Then you gotta make amends. Then you gotta move on. Guilt and regret kills many a man before their time. So turn the page, get off the ride. You are the author of the book of your life.
Try a waterfall, or a mushroom, or a mountain wilderness, or a storm-pounded seashore. This is where the action is. Knowledge is provisional, and we are yet to approach even the first moment of civilized understanding. The way it is to be done is by trusting yourself, trusting your intuition. Reject authority. Authority is a lie and an abomination. Authority will lead you into ruin. This whole effort to bring the psychedelic experience back into prominence is an effort to empower individuals. And it's not done through organizing. It's not done through vanguard parties or cadres of intellectual elites. It's done through just walking away from all of that. Claiming your identity, claiming your vision, your being, your intuition, and then acting from that without regret.
have lots of reasons to be resentful about your existence. Everyone you know is going to die. You know, you too. There's going to be a fair bit of pain along the way, and lots of it's going to be unfair. It's like, yeah, no wonder you're resentful. It's like, act it out and see what happens. You make everything you're complaining about infinitely worse. There's this this idea that hell is the bottomless pit, and that's because no matter how bad it is, some stupid son of a bitch like you can figure out a way to make it a lot worse. That's what life is like. Suffering. Yes. Well, who wants to admit that? Well, just think about it. Well, so what do you do in the face of that suffering? Try to reduce it. Start with yourself. What good are you? Get yourself together, for Christ's sake. Don't be a damn victim. Of course you're a victim. Jesus. Obviously.
As I'm concerned, the sense of meaningful engagement is the antidote to malevolence and suffering, essentially. Because you want to have a life that's so engaging that you think, despite the fact that I'm limited and that we're mortal and that life is tragedy and there's evil in the world, despite all that, this is worth doing.
Put yourself together. And then maybe if you put yourself together, you know how to do that. You know what's wrong with you. How do you overcome the suffering of life? Be a better person. That's how you do it. Well, that's hard. It takes responsibility. And I think, if you said to someone, you want to have a meaningful life? Everything you do matters. You're going to have to carry that with you. Well, that's hard. Christ, it's amazing people can even do it. I'm stunned every day when I go outside, and it isn't a riot with everything burning. Life is suffering and betrayal in many senses of the word, but you can adopt a way of traversing through life that is more powerful than the tragedy and the malevolence. Pick up your damn suffering. Bear it!
The devil is saying, look, all of that stuff, it doesn't exist. It's not real. There is only me. There is only the material world. And if you actually bow down and worship me, I can give you all sorts of rewards. I mean, this is it. The material world, that's all that exists. Money. I mean, you'd like some money, wouldn't you? And you'd like some material possessions. So put aside all of these thoughts of spirit or any kind of personal advancement of consciousness or stuff, because that's all just a delusion, that's a fairy tale. Worship me and I'll reward you. Or, if you give me any trouble, just think about all the things that I could do to you. I could take away your money, couldn't I? How would you like poverty? And what about ill health? This material world is all of my domain. That the material world is everything. That we are no more than our physical bodies. And that our culture is no more than how our economic balance is doing. This is Satanism, and this is pretty much the whole world at present.
Suffered with depression at different times in my life. One of the things that would help me, I would drive to Malibu. I lived in town at the time, and we had a little house, a tiny little shack on the beach, and usually I would get some of the heaviness would lift. So one day I went to Malibu. I got there at around noon, did nothing, listened to classical music, relaxed, meditated for hours, did all the things that would help get me out, and nothing got me out, and I was devastated, and I was hopeless. And in that moment of hopelessness, I prayed, and I prayed for a sign. Please, universe, please give me a sign. Please give me a sign to go on, because I don't think I can go on. Please give me a sign. And I walked out to the beach, which was something I never did, or rarely did. I walked out to the beach, and I'm standing out on the beach, and in 1 minute, the entire sky turned into the most dramatic, orange, wild, biblical painting. I had never seen anything like it up till that moment. Never seen anything like it since. I walk out, I experience that. It blows my mind. I feel like my answer is I'm being spoken to, and then within a minute, gone back to normal blue sky. It felt like I felt less alone. I felt like I could, my cry for help was heard, and I felt connected, and that felt really good. happiness, we can change them. There's so many options available to us that we don't, we're stuck in our small story of who we are and what our lives are. And it's all a choice, and we have the power to change it. Anything in our lives that doesn't give us joy, we can change.
A person who thinks all the time has nothing to think about except thoughts. So he loses touch with reality and lives in a world of illusions. By thoughts I mean specifically chatter in the skull, perpetual and compulsive repetition of words, of reckoning and calculating. I'm not saying that thinking is bad. Like everything else, is useful in moderation. A good servant, but a bad master. We confuse signs, words, numbers, symbols, and ideas with the real world. And all so-called civilized peoples have increasingly become crazy and self-destructive because through excessive thinking they have lost touch with reality. Most of us would have rather money than tangible wealth, or as a result of confusing the real world of nature with mere signs, we are destroying nature. We are so tied up in our minds that we've lost our senses.
everything, as far as I'm concerned, everything is predestined. Everybody's scared shitless of that word. Predestined. It's all predestined. This is predestined. We didn't know all this was going to go down today. And people generally cannot accept that. But that's part of the game that's being played too. Some people accept it. I accept it. Other people don't.
Where you are, Bartholomew. You are about to enter hell, Bartholomew. Hell!
confront your fears, and live a life without regret.